Every club. Every day. The Global Sports Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the GSPN Daily Man United podcast. And we're joined today by our good friends from Southampton. Zach, how are we today?
Yeah, not too bad. We've had some club news today, which is interesting. But as you can probably attest, we have had a bleak season. So realistically, we may as well just skip to the score prediction now and be like, how many do you fancy?
Not just
Six.
yet. We want to know more. We want to know more about how you felt about the season, where you think it's gone wrong. Obviously, it's very dramatic for you at the moment. So, yeah, just tell us from the start what's been happening.
So it's been kind of a mad season to be a Saints fan. We've done a couple of retrospectives recently, sort of with the new year and sort of finally getting rid of a manager who we all have a lot of good favour towards, but you could see that you can't play that way with the squad we've got because nothing was happening. And then but he came into this season with a lot of good favour, and I think that's what kept him going as long as we were. Like, we were looking back retrospectively on sort of how amazing Wembley was, because, you know, for a club like us, that is, you know, once in a lifetime. Like Greg, who is unfortunately absent, like we'll talk about with his kids, he's like, he needs to make sure that they are not used to going to Wembley like every year. However, with the topsy-turvy way that we might be existing in the future, who knows? But yeah, kind of like from there was a lot of optimism, mainly from Greg. He had us finishing 12th, which is mental when you look at it now.
Yeah,
I thought we would stay up maybe if we invested enough money. I don't think that one statement signing in Ramsdale was enough, and that's proven to be. And I think it's kind of like all of our transfer business over the last couple of years has kind of been completely undone. And a lot of the transfer business last season, we've kind of, the footballing people behind the scenes have kind of disappeared, and the only one left at one point was like basically Russell Martin. And then obviously when he left, there was no one left. So they've obviously brought in Ivan Jurek, and the announcement today is basically the Saints chairman, Henrik Kraft, has been like sort of stepped down, quote unquote. And what it actually feels like is that the shareholders primarily came in, and Dragan Solek, who's like the primary shareholder, was like, what is going on? Because our other club in Turkey is like 5th in the league. We're absolutely flying. They're putting out all these lovely messages about how well they're doing. And then it's sort of like they look over at what is supposed to be their money earner, and we're burning cash. There's a couple of conspiracy theories knocking around. We had our lowest ever attendance at the FA Cup the weekend. It was something like 12,000. It was really, really bad. Like the TV cameras did not do it justice. It was very, very empty. I think a combination of like the accounts are due very soon. So there's a lot of people speculating that maybe the money that we've invested that we think is going to be the side of things that were good is not as good. And we tried to do a transfer episode yesterday, obviously like a transfer Tuesday. It's been replaced in our usual segment of Tactics Tuesday whilst the sort of window's open. And when I tell you that we did not have a single incoming, not even a rumour of a single incoming, like no one, is another thing that says to me that no one actually has any idea what's going on behind the scenes.
That's crazy.
So as much as like, you know, and Manchester United are one of the teams that I low-key follow in the background. Like I'll put the old game on and stuff, and I think more due to history than anything else. But it's one of those things where, like, as much as you've had your troubles, it's not kind of the fact. It's not like you've done exactly the same thing and then the same things happened again. The only thing that we've not done, which we did the last time we got relegated, was like panic buy a bunch of players, which I'm very worried they might do last minute. Because Paul Onuachu, the big tall Nigerian man who lots of our fans love, but as a striker, I will point out, is yet to score a goal. He is very much like leftover transfer business from that window. And like they want to send him back to Turkey, sort of. He kind of wants to go back because he was having a much nicer time there. But it very much feels in that sense that like if we do that, like he was our 5th choice striker that window. We struggled to basically get anybody else. We've been linked with a lot of names that have gone on to do lots of things. Like way back when we were sort of linked with people like Gakpo and stuff like that before they ended up going on to, you know, the much better clubs. So like the intention is there. It just seems like the background footballing part is not really been in place, and they're now starting to kind of realise, and now things are starting to change. But some interesting points of that statement was like, he says he's disappointed with the results, but he was talking about sort of it kind of seemed like he's now accepted we're down, because again, like, miracles need to happen, and we're just not winning. Like, we won against Swansea, which you'd expect us to win against, but we were all very on the fence of whether or not we'd win. And, for our vicious rivals, Portsmouth beat them 4-0. We only beat them 3, which makes me very sad. But like, even starlet Tyler Dibbling, who, has been linked with you guys, he scored 2 goals, but even he was like, well, I didn't really celebrate them, or I didn't really care, because they were basically tap-ins, and I'm expected to score those sort of goals.
Yeah.
We're starting to see sort of shape under the new manager, which is nice. He's starting to kind of pick his starting 11. It's kind of crazy, because some of the players that we've got that we weren't expecting to be sort of in that space are now in that space, like Sulemana, who anyone that's listened to our podcast will hear us talk about him a little bit, but he's kind of like, everyone remembers him as the guy that was the fastest at the World Cup. And that was great. And then did nothing. And then scored 2 goals against Liverpool in our 4-4 draw before we got relegated. And then we were hoping he'd light up the Championship. Had lots of injuries, has come back and not really done a lot. And then he played the other day, scored the weirdest goal, and then started shushing the crowd. Like, ran over to the corner. And you're like, mate.
He did that? That's a bit weird.
It's one of those things where you're like, mate, do you really...
Embarrassing, yeah.
Yes, and I think that's a lot of our players. Like, we've got a guy called Armel Bella-Kotchap, who was a German international a while back. He's kind of came back this season, not had a look in, played 1 game against Cardiff. There's loads of speculation about him going. And then there was lots of talk under the new manager how he's going to get back in and he wants to go back and play for a good club. And then he was left out of Swansea. And people asked the question, like, our local reporter, Alfie House, was like, well, is what's going on with him? Is there a transfer on the cards? Because obviously that's basically where if anyone's left out now, that's the first thing we think. And they were like, no, he's just not that good. We're like, oh.
Simple as that.
But yeah, and obviously all of these things have caused massive divisions in the fan base across like the different players and across the different opinions of what's going to go on and what's going to happen next. But like, honestly, going forward, I'm just hoping we build towards the Championship now, because at this point, at this point, it's genuinely like we are considered, and it's upsetting, but a free hit, a free 3 points for everybody that plays us.
Don't say that yet. Jinx us.
Oh, I'm trying to be optimistic, or at least optimistic for Greg's sake, because he would usually be the one that kind of goes, "Oh, we never know." But even he has been
like the end
worn
of the tunnel
down.
kind of guy.
Yeah, very much so. Whereas I've always been far more cynical, and especially when it comes to sort of the way the season's been so far. But it's one of those things where you're like, wow, can't get any worse. And then like our new manager bounce was a 0-0 draw against Fulham.
That's how it goes. That's how it goes, mate. Right, Zach, we're going to go for a quick commercial break, but we'll be back and we're going to talk a bit more about United. I suppose we've touched on Southampton for a lot of that segment there, but we're going to get Sam's views on what he thinks the game's going to plan out in the next couple of days. Zencastr, built for quality, designed for growth. A new era for creation is here. The only complete audio plus video platform to get best-in-class recording, intuitive editing, AI-powered growth features, and top-tier distribution tools, all in one place. Get started for free. We highly recommend it. That's Zencastr. So welcome back, guys, to the GSPN Man United Daily Podcast. We are joined by Zach today from Southampton. So we're just going to talk about United now, see how we're shaping up for the game in the next couple of days on Thursday. It's a big one. We're very excited about it. Me and Sam spoke yesterday. Just want to get his take on where you think things are going, how we're going to shape up.
Yeah, I mean, we touched on it yesterday, Ollie, in terms of, we've had a fantastic week. Going into the week, obviously, we fared the worst, but obviously a draw at Anfield, no one really expected that, and then a win at the Emirates as well. So, the week's been fantastic for us. Obviously, as a season as a whole, it's been an absolute mess. So, you can't really say any more in terms of, I know, Zach, you said there, Greg would normally be the one that says you never know, and that is really what it's like playing United. You literally never know. Hopefully, I want to be optimistic, and I really hope, like we said yesterday, Ollie, that we really do put on a good display and we bang in a few goals. Yeah, we bang in a few goals and sort of build on the momentum. And then I know we've got Brighton as well at Old Trafford again after that. So I'd like to think these next couple of weeks we start to see a bit of momentum building and maybe a little shift in our season and see what positives we can sort of take going forward. But as I said, you just never know with United. I mean, we're the type of team this season where can draw at Anfield, win at the Emirates, and then lose to bottom of the league Southampton. So, I mean, yeah, not to rub it in, Zach, but I mean, if we lose to you guys at Old Trafford tomorrow, once again, we'll be in the headlines and questions will be asked. So, I mean, I want to be positive.
The last time we beat you, do you know the year?
What was that, Zach? Sorry.
Do you know the last time we beat you?
When was that? Tell me.
2016.
Oh, yeah. Really?
You should not be worried.
There you go. The thing is, a United fan, you are always worried. That's the problem. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I've been liking the way we've been playing at Anfield and then at the Emirates, but yeah, as I said, you just never know. And I hope players that played well at the Emirates on Sunday, like Harry Maguire, like even Zerchi, I hope he gets a bit of a chance as well, because obviously, like we touched on yesterday, he's had a tough couple of weeks. Yeah. Obviously, a few fans booed him off when he got dragged off against Newcastle. So I hope he gets another chance to prove himself tomorrow as well, and maybe he can nick a goal as well. Defensively, Maguire, he played very well at the Emirates and De Ligt, and then I mean, and obviously Bruno, since he's come back from his suspension, he's been firing. Obviously, he got that man of the match performance away at Anfield last week. So, yeah, I want to be positive going into it, and I'm hoping for a win. But as I said, I'm not being overly optimistic, because I've seen some United performances this season to make me very very worried. So.
Yeah, that's it. But the feeling now, it's kind of like we might go with a different mindset, because obviously we went in as underdogs against Arsenal, against Liverpool. We weren't expected to win. We expected to get battered by these. But now it's kind of a different mindset. Everyone's on a high. We're all feeling very confident. So how do you feel it's going to go? What do you think the mindset's going to be? Are we going to go out there just to absolutely batter them rather than play on the counter-attack? Because you can even see Southampton playing on actually going all out on attack.
Yeah, I mean, we have to be dominant straight from the first whistle, to be honest. We have to dominate the ball, and we have to shift this mentality of playing counter-attacking football and letting teams sort of let teams have chances and have the ball. Okay, it's all right to do that at Liverpool away and Arsenal away and City away, but when you playing teams, no disrespect, Zach, like Southampton, especially at Old Trafford, you have to dominate, and you have to, from the first to the last whistle, you have to just attack, basically. And I hope, as I said before, I hope we go into the game really confident, not overly confident, because I think that they have no reason to do that. I know we've had 2 good results, obviously, in the past week, but as I said yesterday, I think they should take positives from that. But because of the games we've had this season, I think we should still approach the game going, you know what, like, we should just play our game and know that even if we play poorly, Southampton can punish us. I mean, Gary Neville said it earlier on this season. I 100% agree with him, where at times we have genuinely been pound for pound one of the worst teams in the league in terms of, in some games, how we've played. So if we play like that, I'm sure Southampton can create chances of their own and maybe punish us for that. But I hope we go in there and really put on a show and get a few goals. So yeah, I'm hoping for that.
Yeah, that's what we're after, isn't it? Because if we did lose this game or even got a draw, it'd feel like one step forward, 2 steps back, really, wouldn't it? So we really need to carry on this positive mindset that we've got at the moment. I'm excited. I really am excited. A little bit nervous as well, because do you know what I mean? We're at Old Trafford. It's not really been a fortress for a long time now. We've struggled at Old Trafford. I think we've been better away. Our away record's better, I think, than it is at home. So there is that nerve there, isn't there? And I guess it's kind of their bottom of the league. So we'll be expected to go out there and absolutely thump them. And it's not always the case. It really isn't.
So exactly,
what you feel in your setup will be. It's like, what What's the mindset of
he's kind of it's difficult because we thought he'd kind of settled on how he wanted to set up. I think he'll set up the same that he set up for most games. But the problem is like our game against Swansea, we played with no out and out striker. But ironically, when we brought two strikers on, we then didn't score a goal. So I wouldn't be surprised if he sets up pretty much exactly the same way. There wasn't really as much rotation as we expected because I think his mindset was, well, one, he's very aware that the FA Cup is important, especially to smaller clubs. And that's no disrespect to our club, but at the moment, the Cup is the only thing that's brought even a shred of positivity. Because as much as we were like, we beat Swansea and there should be an expectation we do, like in the relegation season we last played in was when we lost 2-1 to Grimsby Town. And we discussed that in our pod where like there was a whole load of controversy over their inflatable fish. So for me, it's like we might end up playing the same way, but the last time we predicted a lineup, it was completely wrong because again he played Caldamine and he played Tyler Dibbling up front. So I wouldn't be surprised if that worked, he would do it again. The problem is the change in opposition.
Okay. So I'm going to stop you there because we're going to go on to the next section. I'm going to get you to talk about players, each of your players, and what your setup's going to be. So we'll come back just after a quick break. The Global Sports Podcast Network, creating the world's finest network of 30-minute daily podcasts for the world's biggest sporting export, the English Premier League. For advertising and sponsorship details or to learn more about the scale of demographics of our audience, email Ken Davis, VP, Business at Development at ken.davis@globalsportspodcastnetwork.com. Oh, that's tricky to get that one out. Welcome back to the GSPN Man United Daily Podcast, and we're joined with our Southampton correspondent, Zach here, and I'm also joined with our Manchester United, Sam Brady as well. So just before I rudely cut you off, Zach, tell us about each of the players, what position you think they're going to be playing, how you're going to set up, basically, when it comes to Thursday.
Well, goal is basically one thing and one thing only, and that is Ramsdale, because I don't know if you paid attention to our other goalkeepers the rest of this season. Doesn't mean that Ramsdale hasn't had his fair share of not good games, but regularly shipping 5 goals. Alex McCarthy has been caught out far too many times than he should have, and then we had a couple of sort of cameos from Joe Lumley that wasn't great. Centre back, I imagine Taylor Harwood-Bellis and Jan Bednarek, because they are just the solid defensive rocks. I don't see that maybe changing if we continue to kind of do the 3 at the back thing. It was kind of weird in the FA Cup game. I think we kind of put James Bree in that situation. And which was slightly bizarre, but I think we'll probably end up having Nathan Wood, Jan, and Taylor Harwood-Bellis. And then right-hand side, I'd like to see Kyle Walker-Peters actually played there. I very much doubt it, because that's his natural position. But so I wouldn't be surprised if, because of the rest and bits and pieces, we put Sugawara back in. At least that's what I hope. Probably have Kyle Walker-Peters back on the left. He's really liked, in the middle of the park, put in Ugachukwu with Aribo. And I don't know if Dan's still out injured. So potentially that. And then we'll probably end up having Matty Fernandez, Tyler Dibbling, maybe Caldamine again. And then I'm hoping we actually have an out-and-out striker. But depending on how he wants to play and considering the opposition we're up against, we'll probably need a big man. So they'll probably put Paul up top and maybe kick the ball towards him. Not that that's done a lot of good so far. So yeah, it's nothing too drastic, but it's been difficult to kind of guess because of the fact that we thought he'd kind of agreed on 11, completely surprised us the other day. And obviously the scale of the opposition is different. And I guess that's what's nice, because when we were playing under Russell Martin, we knew exactly what the team sheet was week in, week out. And on top of that, we knew that we wouldn't have a different plan no matter who we've played. We've seen that he does a lot of sort of man marking, which is kind of annoying when we could have pressed some of the players in some of the games. But it's just nice to have a manager that realizes that there is more than one way to win a game. And that's kind of where we're at. So I don't really see anything too dramatic. But obviously, there's a couple of days between now and then. Wouldn't be surprised if someone left during that time. Our entire thing at the moment is
January.
keeping hold of our best players. And obviously, Kyle Walker-Peters is due a contract renewal at the end of the season. He's only got 6 months left. If I was him, I probably wouldn't sign it. I will be devastated when he leaves because he's probably been one of our best players.
So he's so you say the danger man. Who should we be worried about when we're playing on Thursday?
The problem is that most of our goals this year have come from our defenders, which is terrifying. But set pieces aren't that good either. But if Caldermeans Suleiman is coming into form, I feel like a big enough stage like a United game would be a good place for him to show it, because a goal against Swansea is not going to get you much. Obviously, Dibbling being played in a more forward position as he has been might mean that he would love to, I'm probably sure, bag a goal, considering his sort of full debut was against United. That's kind of where I see our two biggest threats, but also Matty Fernandez is due a goal. And he is somebody who me and Greg like to keep under wraps. Every time that every single person questions us on like, Tyler Dibbling has been a sensation, we're like, that's great. Please don't pay attention to Matthias Fernandez because he's going to go far. It's not going to be with us in the future, but as long as we can retain him for the time being, that'd be quite nice. So that's probably where I see most of our danger coming from. From United, though, it could be anyone. Like if you've got an out of form striker who needs a goal, that's Southampton are the team to do it against. Like, bear in mind, you had Rashford score last game.
Yeah, exactly. Sam, how do you see us setting up? Who would you like to see starting?
Yeah, I mean, sort of similar to Zach, where I don't see anything too dramatic from Amarin. I think he's going to set up similar to how he did on Sunday afternoon against Arsenal. Obviously, you've got Maguire, De Ligt, Martinez. He might maybe bring Yoro in and swap one of the three out. I'm not a fan of how he swaps and changes the centre-backs throughout the game. I would like
I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah, I'd like to sort of see him stick by a three and sort of stick with them going forward. But obviously, if Yoro gets the chance, I think this is a game for him. And then, Agate, Mainu probably are going to start in the midfield. Again, he could maybe bring even a Casemiro or an Eriksen in. Obviously, they both had shockers in that Newcastle game the other week. Yeah. So I don't know how they're going to bounce back from that. And then, as I said before, maybe Zerchi might get a start as well. Obviously,
the rotation.
Yeah, obviously. We're still in obviously the Europa League and the FA Cup, and so he might rotate with Zerchi replacing one of the front three. But again, the last game Zerchi started was again that shocker against Newcastle. So it's whether he trusts him again to start him. But again, after he came on in the second half against Arsenal and played really well, I think maybe he might give him that trust tomorrow. And as Zach said, if you need a striker that's out of form that needs a goal, then Southampton are the team to do it against. So I mean, if Zerchi obviously played really well against Arsenal, and if he can build on that confidence and nick a goal tomorrow, then all the better. So yeah, nothing too dramatic, and I think we should secure all 3 points really. So
yeah, I think keep it very similar to the teams that we played, obviously against Liverpool and Arsenal. So guys, just before we finish up, we've got about another 20 seconds. Predictions, what the score's going to be. Zach, I'll let you go first, my friend.
I've got 2, 1 heart, 1 head. One's for Greg. The heart prediction would be like, I'd love for us to win 2-1 because it'd be the only thing we can talk about all season. My head says you're going to beat us 3-0 and probably Zach's a hat trick. Why not?
Oh wow! Wow!
Yeah, because because this is what happens with us. If there's an out of form striker, they go to us and they score. But obviously, the heart prediction would be love to see Matty Fernandez get 2, and whoever wants to score for United at that point, because there's no way we'll keep a clean sheet.
Oh, fighting talk there. I don't know. It's kind of you say things like that, and it's just I don't know. Worries me a little bit. I'm just like, we really won't. You really won't. Okay, then. So, Sam, what do you reckon? We did predictions yesterday, but tell me again what you're thinking.
Yeah, hopefully it's the other Fernandez on the pitch who's going to bag a couple goals tomorrow. So, look, I would love to see us win 3 or 4-0. But as I said yesterday, I'm sticking with a very conservative 2-0 I'm going. So
yeah, mate, I'm going 2-1 because every time I go high, it ends in tears. So I'm being very conservative for 2-1 on this one. But guys, thank you so much. Thank you, Zach, for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. Great to meet you. Sam also. It's been brilliant, mate. And guys, we'll see you on the next pod. This has been the GSPN Man United Daily Podcast. Take care. Bye-bye.